My volume was off earlier, so I really hope my volume is on now. Hello, everybody. I have a collective reading today, and I'm going to say it in Arabic and in English. أهلا بالحبايب. أنا عندي اليوم قراية ليكو. إن شاء الله يعني توصل للناس اللي ربنا عايزها توصل ليهم. مش هقول حتى عايزنا نوصلها لهم، دي مش مني. وإن شاء الله تخدم حد محتاج يسمعها. I'm gonna go through this again in English and in Arabic, and I'm not using any tools like tarot or anything like that. أنا بحكيها مرة أخرى بالعربية وبالإنجليزية، ولن أستخدم يعني أي أداة من القراءة غير البسملة. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. I'm not gonna say anything other than Bismillah, in the name of Allah, and whatever messages that need to come through. And I want to say more about complete misinterpretations of the word Allah in English, but that's a whole other thing. I just hope it hits your heart. That's what matters. طيب هحكي بالإنجليزي الأول بعدين أترجم بالعربي. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. If you have family members that deeply care about family, would die for their child, for their mother, for their brother, their sister, but they do not care about a larger sense of humanity, they will betray these family members one day. They will have another circle that's closer than you. And أول رسالة، لو لديك مثلا أب بيموت في أولاده، أم مستعدة تضحي بحياتها كلها عشان ابنها أو بنتها، يعني إخوات في كل إشي بيحطوا الأخوة الأول، بس ما بيراعوش ربنا في علاقتهم بالبشرية كأخوات. في يوم من الأيام هيخونوا عائلتهم، هيخونوا أزواجهم، هيخونوا أو هيهملوا الابن أو البنت. لو بيضحوا عشان بعض هيضحوا ببعض. لو ما نموش الغريزة ربنا بيحب كل ولاده، كل البشرية. لو ما نموش الغريزة دي زي ربنا اللي خلقنا، وفاكرين انهم عمرهم هيخونوا اخواتهم، عمرهم هيضحوا بيهم او هيهملوهم. So that was the first message in English, and that's a way to encourage your family, or to hold your family accountable, to hold yourself accountable to tolerating the fact that if family members are using it as an excuse, that I care about my family first and foremost, so why would I care about Palestine? Why would I care about my starving neighbor? ودي حاجة ممكن يعني ده واقع ممكن تستخدموه كمحور للحوار مع عائلتكم، أو للحساب بينك وبين نفسك. هل فعلا أنت بتقرب من عيلتك بطريقة سليمة، أو أيوة متقطعش صلة الرحم، لكن بنفس الوقت لو بتقرب بعيلتك وبتسمح لهم أو بتسمح لهم بأن هم ما يعملوش الصح في الدنيا، دي هتتحاسب عليها برضو. الاتنين هتتحاسب عليهم، أو على الأقل ما حاولتش حتى ولو مرة، هتتحاسب على دي برضو. فدي ممكن طريقة أنك تفتح الحوار على الأقل. ربنا خلقنا كلنا بيحبنا كلنا، فإن احنا نحب القريبين منا بس، وما بقاش فيه نوع على الأقل من الحب، أو حتى الاحترام، التقدير لأي بشر قدامنا. يبقى احنا بنرفض أو بنرفض ربنا. بصراحة بنرفض ربنا، أو شرك برب، يعني بنعمل شرك بعائلاتنا، ده اسمه شرك. فاهمين؟ This is the first message. دي أول رسالة. تاني رسالة، some of us will receive a lot of blessings when we learn to have integrity with the abuser, not the abused. When we learn to have integrity with the abuser, and that's going to look like very different things. So I'm not supposed to comment on what that is, but a whole floodgate is going to open up for you of blessings. في كتير مننا ربنا كتب لهم خير كبير عشان معاملتهم اللي فيها حق وفيها رحمة تجاه اللي ما عندهمش حق ولا عندهم رحمة. ومش معناه انك يعني على فكرة انك تenable او انك تسامح بزيادة، تسامح بدون حساب، دي ما فيهاش عدل وما فيهاش رحمة. ان انت بتعرض اللي قدامك الى انه يضر الناس اكتر، ولا انه يضر نفسه ان هو ما بيستوي او يتعلم. لكن بنفس الوقت في طرق للتعامل مع قلة الرحمة او قلة العدل برحمة وبعدل. في طرق فيها توازن، لأن المترخي كتير دي نوع من ال collusion، أو نوع من الموافقة على الظلم. السكوت نوع من الموافقة على الظلم. وبنفس الوقت الجبروت حتى لو مع حد جبار نوع من تقليد الجبروت ده. إنما في توازن، وكل ما يكون في توازن ربنا سبحانه وتعالى محافظ على حاجة كبيرة قوي 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 ليك. يعني تأكد من هيك يا ريت. The third message is not from me, it's from a close friend. If she sees this, I said in Arabic اتأكد, like be sure. The word yaqeen, which is hard to translate, but it's like in English, re-examine the word certainty. Certainty is not just a word that belongs to those who don't listen to others and only to themselves. Certainty is not something that only belongs to people who are bigoted, or certainty belongs to people who have love in their heart consistently, have liberation in their heart consistently, do daily practices towards equity and joy for life consistently. They also have certainty, and you have that certainty, and you should never let go of that certainty. هترجم بالعربية. I'm going to translate this part in Arabic, and then there's a second part to that message. بالعربية. الرسالة ديت ما كانتش مني على فكرة، دي كانت من أعز أصحابي في الدنيا في الحياة القصيرة اللي ربنا اداها لي، من أعز الناس في حياتي. رجعت لي كلمة اليقين. والدي كان دايما، الله يرحمه حبيب قلبي، كان دايما يفكرني فهو غرس فيا المساحة ان انا استقبل رسالة زي دي بعد وفاته من صديقة يعني تعتبر في قلبي. كلمة اليقين. لازم يكون عندك يقين، لازم يكون عندك يقين، بالذات اللي بيعمل الخير. اليقين مش عند بس الجبار، اليقين مش بس عند القوي، اليقين عند اللي بيجيب قوته من فعل الخير. اليقين عند اللي بيدرس وبيذاكر، وبيدرس مش عشان مدرسة أو كلية بس، بيدرس الحياة، بيدرس الحرية، بيدرس الشجاعة، بيدرس مثلا المساواة، بيدرس فعل الخير، بيدرس أنواع الحزن وأنواع القهر، وبيدرس الأدوية للحزن، القهر، للمرض، وبيفيد بالدراسة دي. أي نوع من الدراسة المادية المعنوية الفهم في حياته يوميا. بيدرس بالصلاة، ده عنده يقين، اتمسك باليقين. اليقين مش بس للقضية اللي متأكد من نفسه، اليقين للي فاتح قلبه وفاتح عقله وبيسعى وبيعمل باللي ربنا علمه له، بيعمل على الأقل فعل واحد، فعل خير واحد لكل اتجاه عيلته، اتجاه نفسه، اتجاه البشرية. So one more part about this message is, if you how do I say that? If you feel like certainty has been absent in the area of abundance because you have integrity in your life, you have to hold on to certainty that abundance is coming. You have to. Now, this can be very different worldviews. It can be that it's happening here on this planet. It can be that it's going to happen in another life. You know, it can be, but you can't surrender to the fact that I deserve to be poor because I have integrity. People deserve to go through a man-made famine because they need to hold on to their land, or because they need to hold on to their history. And that's okay, and that's the cost, and I have integrity, so I'm going to accept it. No, never accept it. Never accept it. Never accept it. Whatever economic system you believe in, I'm going to lead that to you, but never, ever in your bones accept that it's okay to not have abundance because you have integrity. بالعربية، احذر يعني اوعى، فعلا اوعى تصدق او تصدقي انك تستاهلي الفقر او الجوع، او غيرك يستاهل الفقر او الجوع، او يتقبل حقه، مش يستاهل خلاص، ده يعني الحمد لله تقبل الجوع او القلة عموما، ان انا يكون عندي قليل عشان انت متمسك بمبادئك. اوعى تتقبل هذا، ده انت كده بتتقبل ظلم. انت كده بتتقبل ظلم في حق حياة، حتى لو حياة دي انت، او الحياة دي يعني حد بتتعاطف معاه، او قضيتك قضيته، ايا كان، او اخوك شايفه جعان، ايا كان، انت تستاهل خير ربنا، انت تستاهل كرم ربنا. ما فيش حاجة اسمها اتقبل ان انا اكون جعان، او تقبل جوع، او معلش يعني خلاص ده قدرنا. مش حقك انك تقول القدر، حقك انك تؤمن بربك، وتؤمن بان ربك كريم، وما في حاجة اسمها ان يعني احنا خلاص بالكوكب الارضي، والكوكب ما تستسلمش ان القانون في هاي الحياة ان اللي عنده ضمير لازم ما يكونش معاه فلوس، او لازم ما يكونش معاه اكل، او لازم ما يكونش معاه شرب، او لازم ما يكونش معاه ارض، او لازم ما يكونش معاه بيت. اوعى تستسلم ده الواقع، اوعى. في واقع اكبر من غنى الخشيم وفقر اللي عنده ضمير. ده واقع في ناس اخترعته، ده مش واقع ربنا. اوعى تستسلم ليه. من جوه يبقى عندك يقين ان ربنا هيديك من خيره كتير، حتى لو بتموت من الجوع، سواء حصل بقى في الحياة دي، سواء حصل بعد ما ماتنا، بس يبقى عندك اليقين، لازم تتمسك بهاي اليقين. Another message that I got, I'm gonna switch in it to, switch into English. I wrote some notes, actually, maybe I don't need to look at the notes. Look for functions of joy that you did not know before. The reason why you don't feel like having joy, which is reasonable to say the very least, when you see that on the first day of Eid, of a holiday, a global holiday for one of the fastest growing religions in the world, mean, it's been like over 100 people a day for 2 weeks straight. Murdered by your taxes if you live in the West. By our taxes, those of us who live in the West. And it's, and joy, it's not that joy is gone. It's that joy has a very different meaning now and needs to include those whose new Eid clothes were, which is usually children, were stained in blood. So joy is never gone. And I don't know if a human being can accept a reality that's joyless for too long. But joy has a different function now of pointing in the direction of those who are robbing you and me, and most of all, those we're hurting for, of joy. And an example to that is the show Mo. The show Mo, which I haven't seen, this is a Palestinian, comedian, Joy, that focused mostly on, immigration, on the horror of the asylum system. And most of the show is focusing on Mexico. And it might be within the hierarchy of the non-human in the West, less repercussions if he focuses on Mexico than on Palestine, even though there's severe repercussions of focusing on both. The part of it is like, whatever place you're in, using your comedy, using your joy, your talent, to show a larger story that includes all who have been in your sphere of consciousness as much as you can. That's joy now. الرسالة إن في دور جديد يعني للشعور بالمتعة. صعب طبعا إن الواحد يحس بالمتعة في أول يوم عيد. في أول يوم عيد بيشوف إن في 100 نفر اتقتلوا، ذبحوا، جامع بحاله اتهد وسط الأذان، مستشفيات، طقم إسعاف. إحنا بقالنا أسبوعين أكتر من 100 نفر في اليوم. ده غير المجاعة، ده غير. بنفس الوقت في حاجة اسمها متعة وهتفضل فينا. يعني صعب إن البشر ما يتمردوش لو في حياة ما فيهاش متعة، لكن المتعة ليها دور مختلف دلوقتي في حياتنا. المتعة بتشاور للي بيسرقوا المتعة أو اللي بيحاولوا إنهم يحتكروا المتعة. فبنعمل أشياء مختلفة دلوقتي بالمتعة عشان تبقى متشاركة مع كل اللي محتاجها. ومثل قلت إن الشو اللي هو اسمه مو، مع إني ما فرجتش عليه لسه، بنتفليكس. والشو ده من مو عامر، الكوميديان الفلسطيني اللي عمل شو بالكامل أو سيزن 2 على الأقل، الموسم الثاني، بيحكي عن معاناة المهاجرين واللاجئين. وهو كفلسطيني ركز أكتر على المهاجرين واللاجئين من المكسيك أكتر من أي بلد تانية، بس بنفس الوقت ركز على طبعا قصة فلسطين وقضية فلسطين وقصص فلسطين، لأن ده مجرد شابتر اللي احنا فيه. وده نوع من مشاركة المتعة، إن هو ككوميديان كحد عنده برنامج، إن هو شارك قصته مع شعوب مختلفة بتعاني من نفس اللي شعبه بيعاني منه، من نفس اللي هو نفسه بيعاني منه، وضحك الناس وصبرهم وعلمهم وجمعهم. ده نوع المتعة. Now, in English, after translating this piece, what I said about joy having a new meaning, it'll never be robbed of us. I don't think as heartbroken as we feel, joy becomes like an alchemy. It kind of goes into a different role. And like I said, that role being like bringing people who are robbed of joy together in the way that we personally experience joy. Another aspect of that is that joy with family will never be full, back to the first message, until it integrates that sense of sharing joy with all who need it. So again, that family meal, if it's only thinking about that one family and not all the families sharing the blessing that this one family has, not only, according to the first message, is one of them going to take it out on each other, because energy has to move, right? If energy for care is not going into other families on some level, even if you give priority to your family, that is suppressed love, and it's going to come out in the form of one family member being abused. It's going to come out in the form of a betrayal. So the antidote is the joy within that family needs to include thinking about how are we living such that all the families we are aware of can also have that joy, and to work towards that every day. طيب هترجم بالعربي. الرسالة إن نوع المتعة يعني في الدنيا والاستمتاع بالدنيا، الفرحة، حب الحياة، في إطار العيلة، زي ما قلت في أول رسالة، يعني ده شيء مهم جدا جدا. وكل يعني كل عيلة طبعا بتتمنى أن يكون في نوع من المحبة والمودة ومشاركة الأكل والشرب. لو العيلة، نفس العيلة، ما عندهاش على الأقل نوع من المحبة اللي بيتمنى نفس شعور المحبة لأم أكبر أو لناس أكتر أو لعائلات تانية أو لجيرانهم أو يعني للبشرية إلى حد، يعني أيا كان شعور معين من إحنا كلنا. أولا زي ما قلت في الأول، لو الشعور ده مش بيتنمى في العيلة، في نفر في العيلة هيبقى يا إما مكروه يا إما هيتعامل معاملة سيئة، يمكن أكتر من نفر. هيبقى في طاقة وحشة في العيلة بصراحة، ولا منتهى الصراحة. يعني الحل الوحيد إن الحب ده ما يكونش منتشر ما بين العيلة وبس ومكتوم، لازم ينتشر لبره، لازم ينتشر لأصحاب، لأصدقاء، لازم ينتشر للأمة، لازم ينتشر للناس اللي بتعذب، لازم ينتشر إنه يمحي العنصرية. مثلا لو في عنصرية في العيلة أو في تاريخ العيلة، لازم لو ما انتشرش في إنه يمحي أنواع من اللامبالاة أو الكراهية تجاه الغير، اللامبالاة أو الكراهية دي هتقع في حد في العيلة للأسف. وفي نفس الوقت لأن الطاقة مزنوقة، يعني الطاقة لازم تتحرك، طاقة الحب لازم تتحرك، طاقة الكراهية برضو للأسف يعني لازم ما ينفعش تبقى مكتومة، في حاجة هتبقى غلط في الإيكويشن، فاهم؟ فلازم يكون في نوع من المحبة تجاه الآخرين حتى لو بسيط، مش بس تجاه العيلة. وبنفس الوقت أكتر وسيلة لأنك تحتفظ بالحب مع عيلتك، مع أهلك، مع أصحابك، مع أخواتك، إنك تنمي حب ربنا في كل خلقه في العلاقة دي. حب ربنا في كل خلقه، واعمل حتى لو فعل واحد بس في اليوم، مش هتحمل نفسك فوق طاقتك، ربنا كبير، لكن حتى لو فعل واحد بس كل يوم، دي أكتر حاجة هتحافظ على جوازتك، على علاقتك ببنتك، بابنك، بأبوك، بماما، أيا كان. I'm trying to see what other message. Okay, now I gotta look at the notes to see. I think I have only a couple more. And I know this is not the most convenient time to even be doing this. And I know the Arabic and English, thank you for letting me kind of do that. Okay. So, there's a part I'm going to say only in Arabic at the end. Okay. To that part. I did want to say a part in English, and then I'm going to say the rest in Arabic, okay? The last message in English is, there was a man called Omar ibn Sa'id. He was, it's actually, I think the first, I don't know if it's the first or the only autobiography that, thank you everybody, alhamdulillah, thank you, that everyone has. Also, there's a filter involved. That we have, at least in the US, of someone who was kidnapped in what they call the transatlantic slave trade. It was in Arabic. And Omar ibn Sa'id, I forgot at what age he was. He was old. He was like in his late 30s, 37, I think. And he was actually a scholar by the time that he was kidnapped and held hostage. And he wrote his autobiography in Arabic. And that's, again, I think, I don't want to say the first or the only autobiography that we have of someone while America kidnapped, West Africans. Like, the only autobiography from the transatlantic slave trade, or the first one, I'm not sure. And in it, it's very interesting that he wrote it in Arabic, in his handwriting. And so probably one of the first texts in the Americas to be written in Arabic, I think. I don't know that one, but I'm guessing. But he wrote something about the chapter for victory from the Quran. And people, especially in, like earlier I mentioned the word certainty, right? And I want to say this again for my loved ones who came in. One of the messages that came in this week was to repeat, don't let the word certainty be taken up only by people who are bigoted or people who are, unfortunately, don't listen to others. Certainty is also in your heart when you have talent. Certainty is in your heart when you have love. Certainty is in your heart when you have fairness, when every day you work on yourself to be a more loving, giving, fair person, or to work on receiving fairness if you are used to over-sacrificing to do right by this life. Certainty, another message I said earlier, is certainty that you are covered. To never, I'm not talking about economic systems, I'm not talking in isms. In the general principle of do not accept a world where wealth, including money, only comes to those who prioritize that over values or over love or over talent, and that if you live by integrity, you accept being poor. Do not accept that. Do not accept that on others. Do I know what that means? It's going to differ from worldview to worldview. About the isms, the economic theory, it's going to differ from worldview to worldview if you believe in an afterlife or not, whether it comes here or reincarnation. Whatever you believe, you, again, and I'm sorry I'm sounding very certain about it, you cannot accept poverty as a consequence on others or on yourself for having integrity with what you believe. Don't ever. Don't internally, right? That is a word. This is I was maybe 2 days old when I received that. 2 days old. Another word that's been back to Omran ibn Sa'id, very interesting man. And Dr. Suad, shout out Dr. Suad, she was the one who reminded me of him. So 2 people I'm crediting here is one of my best friends. It was actually the message about certainty. And Dr. Suad on IG, if you want to look her up, it's Docta Docta Suad, Suad. Doctor, I should write it down. So these are the 2 references that I have in this collective reading. Here we go. And first person anonymous, but still energetically there. Look up the verses, like, if you want, look up the chapter for victory, al-Nasr, or victory, in the Quran. And it will not be, especially if you haven't read the Quran before, where, it will be something you really, like, you cannot expect. Or it's hard to expect, at least. But to translate, this is my own translation. If the liberation and the victory of Allah, which again, Allah in Arabic is like both universe and creator, which can, in the best way I can say it, if you see the liberation and the opening of Allah, or the victory and the liberation or opening of Allah, and you see people entering Allah's path, for lack of a better word, faith or method, in waves, say your praise to Allah, and make amends on what you may have done, where you may have gone wrong. He will always forgive you. That's literally that's literally the meaning of the word victory. So certainty and victory being two words to reclaim. I remember at some point in my life when I let go of the word victory, and I said, victory is for people who want to win. Victory is for people who want to be unfair. Victory is for people who want to be above. It took me a long time, but victory is for people who want all of us to win. Victory is for people who go somewhere and know that once they get there, they're taking everybody else up with them. Victory is for people who survive another day. It's a beautiful word to reclaim. We don't have to accept defeat or accept even lack of victory because we all deserve. Another person I should credit really, or want to credit, is DJ in the chat, who is an amazing channel in their own right, and I learned so much from them. I'm amazed at the friends, I have, who are amazing channels themselves, like amazing. I feel like I'm nothing compared to them, but again, I want all of us we're all channeling something, right? But amazing channel. My jaw drops at like the wisdom that you drop, and like that you bring to this planet, and bring to me. And this just came to me, like, take the word victory back. Take it back. Victory lap. I just remembered that with Nipsey's song before he passed. That was, I didn't know much, unfortunately, about Nipsey until after he passed. So thank you, Rose. Certainty is a strange thing. Nothing is certain, and it does feel like that. At least I'll tell you the message that I'm receiving lately is that absolutely, Mr. DJ, yes, I adore you. I adore your friend. And Rose, thank you for saying that. Nothing is certain. As far as it happening in the world. But what I received, at least recently, is that, and maybe the word certainty, if it doesn't feel good, please, there has to be a better word, by all means. But it's good to be certain of who you are and what you would do and what you would never do, and to walk towards that. It's also good to be certain of the inherent value of every living being, and that you acknowledge that. And then more certainties come from that, I think. And I don't think anymore, at least. I don't want to leave the word certainty nor the word victory anymore only to people who take things by force, or who don't consider the larger planet, the larger framework they're part of. There's also certainty and there's also victory that has positive, inclusive, loving connotations. I think that's just the message. And it may not be for everybody. I may be wrong. I may need to revise. But that's what I felt recently, is these words that have left such a bad taste in our mouth. For some of us, the word family left a bad taste in our mouth. And that's real and happened to me. For a lot of us, the word God left a bad taste in our mouth. I'm not denying any of that. But I think this will be a time when reclaiming words is going to be more important than doing away with them. I could be very wrong, but that's what I'm feeling. That's what I came to channel today. I'm going to say the summary in Arabic. I'm not going to be as long in Arabic, but all the messages I said so far, I said in English and in Arabic because it felt important. And again, remember the recap of this message. A family, I focus on family, but I think it goes with any relationship that has a special kind of love, which we all deserve and we all should have, of brother, sister, mother, parents, guardians, loved ones, that does not include some measure of love for humanity, that says, well, I don't need to unlearn my racism, I don't need to care about Congo or Gaza, I'm just good here. Even if it's in a small way, I'm not saying, leave your family either, but like if you don't include the sacred value of all families, the family of birds outside, in you, the way that you love, somebody in your family is going to take the brunt. There's going to be an ugly duckling who's going to get abused. There's going to be a betrayal. Because energy has to move. Love can't just do this. It has to radiate out and back in. That's integrity. Integrity is ease of movement. Integrity is what's inside is outside. Integrity is, yes, I have special love for my brother, but from that I learned the value of all brothers. I want all brothers to be loved. And vice versa. Integrity is not just loving the kind of queerness I'm open to, but I don't like this kind of queerness. That's an integrity. And the more you have that, the more you have longevity in your personal relationships. Ironically, people will say, no, I can't pay attention to this or that because it's going to take away from my child. And I get that. In the moment it feels like that. But if we don't spend that time learning about what's happening to other children, literally on our tax dollars, the tax dollars of anybody living in the West, a child every 8 minutes. Every 8 minutes in Gaza, more than 100 people a day for 2 weeks. And that ties into the message for joy. Joy includes everybody. Remember, it's so basic, Martin Luther King Jr. We will not remember the mean, I'm butchering it, the mean words of our enemies, but the silence of our friends. He's talking about movement. Energetic movement is integrity. Being a vessel. That means having some kind of love for everything and everybody. Because that's Godhood. That's Allah. That's what loves all that create, everything. We have to have an element of that. The collective spectrum. And it doesn't have to be in a way that exhausts us. We're human. But not doing it will exhaust us. We think we're trying to be less exhausted. We will be exhausted, or the exhaustion will fall on someone. Because energy's not moving. In that, it's not ironic. It's just how that's the message I channeled. I believe you may feel feelings of certainty in moments, but I never choose that word. I respect that, Rose, and I also, maybe I'll come back to that. Maybe I'll come back to that belief, and I'll come back and I'll say I shouldn't have said that word certainty. Maybe it has a flaw. And granted, not use it as an excuse, but English is my second language sometimes. But I've been speaking it for a long time also. So my attachment to certain words may be different. And thank you for living by your truth. please don't alter it because I'm saying something. And if there's a word that fits better, you might help me find the word that fits a ton better what I'm trying to convey. In Arabic, it is a tough word to translate. The way that I got it was in Arabic. It was yaqeen. Yaqeen is like unshakable faith. It's not faith and it's not hope. It's unshakable understanding in the way good karma works. Maybe that's the way. Unshakable groundedness in how good karma works, I think, is the closest. So maybe certainty is not, it's not certain that it's going to happen the way we want it, but it's like it's not haphazard. It's not random. Maybe that's the best way to say it. Maybe I don't have to be certain about my version of it, but I'm certain it's not random, if that makes sense. I'm certain that we all have power. Assertion, maybe assertion is, I like assertion. I like assertion, yes. Like self-assertion, or yes, assertion, I love that. That's actually, I like assertion because it's like, it's not taken away from how terrible things or hopeless things feel when you see the suffering of others or feel the suffering in yourself, but you assert the value of goodness every day. You assert that the value of goodness and living by it can never be in vain. Am I certain about in what way? No. And that's where thank you, Rose, for what you said. I'm not. But I assert every day and affirm every day that it has immense value, and that it's part of my journey to know what that is, to witness what that's going to be, and to live by that. Maybe that's a better way to say it. So I'm going to say it in Arabic very quickly. I'm going to give myself like maybe 5 minutes, and then I'll jump back. Thank you to everybody who doesn't speak Arabic who might stick around. طيب، أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إذا جاء نصر الله والفتح ورأيت الناس يدخلون في دين الله أفواجا فسبح بحمد ربك واستغفره إنه كان توابا. لو بتحكي بالعربي مش محتاجة أترجم. الصورة دي مهمة لأن في ناس كتيرة بتوصف النصر كشيء المفروض ما نبقاش عايزينه في الحياة الحديثة. النصر معناه ان انا بحاول ان انا اعلي صوتي فوق صوت حد تاني، ودي حاجة لعبة اتلعبت بينا. النصر ليه معاني جميلة. ممكن يكون معناه ان انا بنصر المظلوم، ان انا بنصر الحق، ان انا بنتصر فوق يوم جايز يكون صعب في الشغل، ان انا بنتصر كل مرة بيكون عندي شجاعة ان انا اقول كلمة حق او اقول كلمة طيبة. ده نصر، ده نصر. ان انا ما اسمحش لحد انه يتعالى علي او يظلمني او يظلم غيري، وبالذات انه يظلم غيري باسمي، وبالذات لو ظلم غيري حد قريب من قلبي، من اهلي، من عرقي، من ديني، من اخواتي، او بصراحة يعني لازم زي ما قلت الى حد ما من اللي بيشاركوا الكوكب ده معايا. ربنا مديهولنا ده امانة بجد، ولا ما بيصونش امانة بتأثر في الامانة التانية لحد ما نتعلم نصونهم كلهم ان شاء الله قبل ما نتوفى. ما ينفعش نصون امانة ونخون التانية، مش هتحصل حاجة. الطبخة هتبوظ، مش هينفع. كنت بحكي عن كان عالم اسمه عمر بن سعيد من غرب أفريقيا، وكتب زي يعني سيرة لي، وهي السيرة الوحيدة اللي موجودة بأمريكا، يا إما أول سيرة يا إما السيرة الوحيدة اللي موجودة بأمريكا من حدا كان يعني للأسف كان مخطوف، كان اتخطف واستعبد غصب عنه من غرب أفريقيا هنا بأمريكا، وكتبها بالعربي. وختمها بسورة النصر. ختمها بسورة النصر، النصر على القهر، ختمها بسورة النصر. فدي حاجة نفتكرها يعني. حتى كنت بفرج على مدرس، هو يعني زي فقرة كده مشهورة بتشوفها اونلاين، مدرس في حصة في فصل فلسطيني بيقول المقاومة حتى النصر. يعني النصر اعتبرها زي كلمة الحب، ولما اعتبرتهاش زي كلمة الحب راجع مين لوث الكلمة دي ليك، مين يعني مين خلى معناها يكون بس متعلق بالغشامة أو يعني إن ما ينفعش توسع أفاقك وتشوف. لأ، لعلمك النصر ده حاجة جميلة. النصر ده معناه إن الصابر واللي بيعمل الخير بربنا وبالنعم اللي حواليه كلها، حتى لو حاجة أيا كان فعله، أيا كان قدرة فعله، ربنا بينصره. So again, last reminder in English, that Omar ibn Said, fighting one of the most oppressive experiences that this planet may have known, ended his autobiography with a chapter on victory that was very gentle and very sweet. And I hope this will be the last chapter for everybody, for everyone watching this, for everyone who sees this later, is the victory of being seen. بالعربي تاني نفتكر إن أما يعني العالم اللي بتكلم عنه عمر، معلش أنا كاتبة النوتس فنسيت اسمه، أنا أسفة، عمر بن سعيد. أما كتب سيرته، كتبها بالعربية، والسيرة الوحيدة اللي معانا من يعني زي زي ما تقول جزء من كتاب التاريخ العالمي، من أبشع وأصعب الأجزاء اللي العالم شافها، اللي هي السرقة الكبيرة بتاعت أمريكا. تم سيرته بصورة النصر، وبتمنى إن كل سيرة بتتفرج على الفيديو ده هتختم بصورة النصر إن شاء الله. وأهم نصر، النصر إن أنت ربنا يبعت لك عالم، ناس قريبين أو بعاد شايفينك ومصدقينك وبيشاركوا الحياة معاك، بيشاركوا حزنك، بيشاركوا المتعة معاك، عاملين حسابك، عاملين لك حساب. وألف شكر. If you want a reading, please reach out to me. I do plan, it was a tough decision, but to survive this world, I'm going to build this as a business. You know, so reach out if you want a reading. And I'll always donate part of it to a cause that we both agree on. I'm going to leave that private for each reading. I'm kind of believing in not putting that out there anymore, but also putting it out there that I am planning to donate from every single reading, actually. No matter how much money I need, there's something I can do. I just want to leave that private to negotiate between me and each person I read for, that we decide that together. It's a new system. أي حد محتاج قراية أو يعني لو أنت مستريح، طبعا كل واحد براحته، يا ريت تبعتولي private message DM، وأنا هظبطها معاك وهتبرع في كل قراية، كل قراية. Thank you DJ, thank you my love, thank you mentor friend. وهحكي مع كل واحد يعني نتبرع لمين ونتبرع بكام، فخليها الحاجات، هخلي دي حاجة شخصية لكن بيني وبين كل واحد بقراله، لكن في نفس الوقت علنا يا ريت تعرفوا ان كل reading هعملها ايا كان معايا ما معيش، في نسبة هتطلع تبرع ونحددها 1-1. يلا. Bye everybody. Be your strongest and most loving selves always. You got this. We got this.